Okay, happy Friday rolling out. This is your host, Crystal Jordan, and this is Reality Check. So, you guys know earlier in the week, we heard from the amazing Carlos King. If you didn't hear that interview, you definitely need to go back in the archives and check it out because Carlos spilled all the tea on Loving Marriage Huntsville and Loving Marriage DC and the upcoming Bell Collective that is returning for a second season. I'm so excited about. But today, we have the star of Love and Marriage DC. I have been waiting to talk to this young lady since she was on another show, which we're going to get into in just a second. So please help me welcome the very beautiful Monique Samuels.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. It's great timing because, like I said, we had Carlos on earlier this week and he talked about your show. We asked him a lot about like what went into finding the cast, and we know that he started with you. So I
Yes.
would just ask you, can you talk a little bit about the friendship that you formed with Carlos that led to Love and Marriage DC?
Oh my goodness, my Libra brother. Yes. So it's so much fun talking to Carlos because he's so real
Hmm.
and he's just a whole kiki. But we initially talked because he actually reached out to Chris and I after I left Real Housewives of Potomac and I quit, and he heard the news and he said, "Look, I understand what y'all are going through. If you ever need anything, just hit me up." Chris and I talked to Carlos for like 2 hours, and we vented and we complained and we moaned and groaned. And it was nice because he gave us a space where we could just like be understood and be heard.
Hmm.
So it just turned into a great like stay in touch, keep in touch type of relationship, which turned into a friendship. Now, when this opportunity came about, he reached out to me and said, "Hey, Own is thinking about turning Love and Marriage into a franchise.
Hmm.
And while we have some other cities that we're considering, I would love to kick off DC with you and Chris." And my initial response was, "No, thank you." I'm like, I'm not trying to do another ensemble, Carlos. I already told you that.
Yeah.
But after talking a few weeks later, he said, "What if we built the cast around you and Chris and allowed you to find the couples and then you send me the couples?" And I was like, okay. So Chris and I talked. We had a conversation with our children, and
Hmm.
then we decided, all right, maybe we can go ahead and get us another shot. And that's what we did.
Well, tell me about because I mean, reality TV is has got to be difficult on you guys are so I think people are so brave to go on, especially people that have families, real families, because we see, especially, Love and Marriage Huntsville, we see the breakdown of
Yeah,
a family, and that's definitely not because of the show, but
right.
it probably added to that. So did you guys have initial concerns about returning to television, with your marriage and your family, your babies are growing up. What was that conversation like? And what made you guys decide to go ahead and do that?
Yes. So we actually liked doing reality TV. Once
Mhm.
we got into it, we enjoyed it. We just didn't like the situation that we came from.
Okay.
And our boundary was established very early on in the beginning. I said, my husband, my children, that's where I draw the line, you
Mhm.
know? But honestly, it's been refreshing to be able to watch yourself on TV and learn yourself. So
Mhm.
I feel like it speeds up that growth process. Most times in life, we don't get to hit rewind and watch how we were in a moment.
That's
So
true.
when you can actually see yourself and you're like, wow, this was a few months ago, and look how much I've changed, or look what I need to work on.
Mhm.
Now I can actually see how I come across. It really does help that growth process, not only individually, but even in our marriage. So for us, it's been really good because being a reality TV doesn't define where we are in our marriage. If we're struggling regardless,
Mhm. Mhm.
So for those who go to reality TV and they say, "Oh, it broke up our marriage," no, your marriage was already struggling,
Yeah.
and it just so happened to be witnessed on this show.
Mhm.
And then it led to whatever demise it led to. But for us, it's really helped improve our communication, and it's helped us to confront some things that we probably thought weren't a big deal. You know.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
even in talking with the children, we asked them like, what do you think? As soon as they knew it was a different show, they were down for it because they felt like we're starting fresh. And the show isn't about a bunch of bickering women, it's about a bunch of bickering couples.
That's what Carlos pointed out. He was like, this is more about the relationship. I mean, the title is Love and Marriage. And so that is very different than Real Housewives, because it was more about the friendships with the ladies.
Right.
He also pointed out what you said earlier, is those friendships were not genuine and organic.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is, even with genuine organic relationships, we still see there's still the same type of, issues amongst women. Did some
Yeah.
of the issues with friendships, and that happens on or off TV, but do you think that some of that becomes kind of amplified when you have your friendship that's exposed and you can actually see what they're saying and you're not there? Like, it
Yeah.
seems like it still becomes a bigger issue because of the television.
Well, you know what I love about this group? We made it very clear that none of us were that close. We were social friends. So I tend to use the word very loosely. I call everybody my friend if I've known you for a long time. I'm like, oh, yeah, we're friends.
Mm-hmm.
But what I come to realize is that, especially when you're on reality TV, when you refer to someone as your friend and then you back that with years, they just automatically assume that y'all are just cool, like y'all are sisters. And I'm like, no, none of us were like that.
Okay.
So it's interesting because the audience is watching us get to know each other as they're getting to know us. So that's
Mm-hmm.
what I love about the show. It's very genuine. There was only one person on the show trying to make it seem like we had more of a friendship than we actually had. And those things will get cleared up at reunion. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
grateful for the fact that we all were in a position where we were learning each other and getting to know things about each other that we did not know, even given the history.
Okay. So
Yes.
who were you the closest to, and who were you the least closest to, just coming into the series?
I'm closest to my husband. Look,
Of
he
the
now if
ladies.
it comes down to friendship,
Mm-hmm.
my husband is my best friend and he is my only friend. He is the
Okay.
only person that I can genuinely say is my friend because he knows any and everything about me. He knows my moods. He can anticipate how I'm going to react in a situation. None
Mm-hmm.
of these ladies on the show or their husbands could do that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So closest to my husband, the least closest to from the time that we started filming until now, honestly, would be Winter.
Okay.
So she's the only person that doesn't really like reach out to other people and say, hey, let's get together, unless it's in a camera involved or unless it's dealing with show stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm a person where I reach out to everybody. I'll text you, I'll check on you, I'll see how you're doing. But that's not always given in return. Now, one thing I can say about Ashley, Arena, and Tasha, we keep in touch. We talk just about every day over text message. We have a group text. We talk all the time. Whenever there's anything going on, everybody's sending invites to each other
Mm-hmm.
and we're in the know of what's going on in each other's lives. So we've developed what I would call a friendship. So we have now moved into another level.
Okay.
We have a pretty good idea of who each other is. We're still getting to know each other, but
Mm-hmm.
we're developing a beautiful sisterhood that I can appreciate. And what I love about it is that it's reciprocated.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. We didn't know that what the level of connection was with you ladies. What do you think you're learning? I guess I'm going to ask you about each lady, so you can just answer as you see the relationship of what you would like to share. But what have you learned that you like, and what are you still, I guess, dealing with learning about each of the ladies? Let's start with Winter, since she's the
Okay.
least connected. So what have you learned about her from the show? Because it's interesting, if you guys weren't super close, what made you pick each woman to be a part of the cast?
Okay. So that's a great question. The reason why I chose Winter had just gotten married to her soon to be ex husband, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
I've known Kevin longer than I've known Winter. I go way back with Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw that they were newlyweds and they seemed to be very happy, as I was developing my list to send to Carlos, I said, here's a great couple. They just got married. They're like head over heels for each other. And I thought that they would be great for the show. Now, Winter and I have known each other because of the NFL wife space.
Mm-hmm.
So it's for people who don't know, the NFL Wives Club is like a sorority.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get together and have, like, back then when they were playing, we would have like NFL wives luncheons. We would have group efforts. Like if there was a away game, I would literally invite all of the wives and girlfriends to come over and watch the game, whoever wasn't traveling to the game. I
Okay.
didn't have to know any of them. we considered each other a friendship circle because of the connection through the NFL. So when I referred to Winter as my friend, we go back 15, 16 years, it's because that's when I met her in the NFL space. And one thing about NFL wives is that you don't have to know each other. If there's something going on, we can relate on a different level than everybody else because of that world that we came from.
Right.
So I never knew that Winter liked the drama. Like, she loves the drama. She really does. And she also is not a great storyteller. She will exaggerate as she's telling her story. Now, the first time I've ever been out to lunch with Winter was that scene that you saw when we were talking at Swahili Village, and I had just gotten back from Tanzania. So I'm taking everything that she's saying as if this is what went down, because I've never had a conversation with her outside of factual, like, this is what happened. And most times it's dealing with our platforms, her relationship and life coaching, and then my parenting. So the first time that I actually talked to Winter on a deeper level was in 2020, November of 2020. I had her on my podcast, and we ended up doing a 2-episode podcast because the title was Love After Divorce, and it was dealing with her going through some crazy situations and then finding Kevin. So, but that was the first time that we connected after years, was in 2020. So I just wanted to clear that up, because a lot of people were watching the show expecting me to just know who she is and know how she is. And Monique, why are you acting like you don't know who she is? Because I really don't. I've never seen her in this light. I've never seen her. We've never gossiped. I've never seen her around women like that before. And they're reporting things back to me that is, I'm like oblivious, because I'm like, I don't know her to be this way. So I don't know what y'all are talking about.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense, because it did kind of feel like, well, why is she, this is her girl. She's got to know that she's like this, or why?
Had no clue. And it's crazy because I said it over and over again during the filming process and in my confessionals. I was laying it out like, this is how I know her and this is who I know her to be. But they never showed my confessionals. So of course, everybody in the viewing world is looking at the TV like, dang, Monique is tripping. Why is she treating her like this? I don't know who she is at this moment. And I can't discount what these women are saying their experience with her has been. So I was literally Moni in the middle.
Gotcha. There we go. Yes. In the middle. Okay, let's go on to Ashley. What are you learning? What are you enjoying learning about her? Was there, obviously there is a closer connection now, but talk a little bit about why she was someone that you brought to the show.
One reason that I definitely was like, we need the Silvas, is because Ashley is hilarious. This girl is funny without even trying to be funny. She's going to keep it to you real. She's very direct. And to me, when you're looking for someone to be on reality TV, she had every it factor. Like, she's beautiful. She's a mom, so we related on that level. She's a wife, we related on that level. We both get each other. And in a way, she reminds me of that NFL world. There's not a DJ Wives Club.
Right.
But her life was very similar to how it is for those that are married to NFL players, with your husband being gone and you're holding down the kids and you're at home with the children and you don't really have much time for you. Yeah. So I just knew she would be perfect for the show because we walk a very similar journey. And I really wanted to get to know more of her because I only knew her on a social level.
Gotcha. Okay. Arena.
Now, how I met Arena, there was a Instagram page called the Black Socialites, and we actually became friends. The founder of that page, Kyle, he actually passed away a few years ago. But I met Arena through watching him post Black Socialites in the DMV. Nice. And he posted her, and I'm messaging him like, who is she? I'm like, she is everything. Like, I need to know her. She just seemed like a breath of fresh air. She's very confident. She's fly as hell. And she just like, something about her just pulled at me. Like, I need to know her. Like, I need to just like hang out with her and just see what she's about. And I slid into her DMs and we were talking. And this was when I was on RHOP. And I said, girl, you need to be on this show. Like, you are fly, you can dress, you're gorgeous, you're married, you have an actual husband. I'm like, you need to be on this show. And things didn't work out with that, but she was one of the first people I thought about when Carlos said, all right, send me some couples. I'm like, oh, we got to get the Tylers. So she's just a fly person, and she brings that, she has that mothering nature that she brings, but she can also check your butt too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Are there any, so like in Loving Marriage Huntsville, we see different couples and there's different dynamics for the couples, and I'm assuming that when you guys watch it, you're seeing issues in each marriage and relationship that you had no idea were going on, because it's very intimate there, and then it gets
Yep.
shared with the public. Are there any surprises, things that have surprised you about their relationships that you weren't aware of, that you were kind of shocked or taken aback when you saw shared, on the episode?
Yes, absolutely. I did not realize that with the Tylers, I didn't realize that Jamie was not Britt's biological dad. I would have never known that until Arena said it on the show. They don't carry themselves in that way where you would even assume or ask or speculate. They are family and they are solid. And I love that. I actually love that. I was like, wow, that's amazing. I'm getting to learn more about them.
Yeah.
With the Silvas, I didn't realize that Quick had been in 5 accidents just from overworking.
Yeah.
I got into a car accident before from overworking. So I was like, wow, just seeing where we all have things in common was just like incredible. So let me see. And then let me see, what else did I learn? Yeah, that's pretty much it for the couple things that I didn't know. Yeah.
So for you all, I know that, viewers and fans, and probably you've heard a lot of comments. I think for you guys, because we did not really see a lot of your actual relationship, or maybe it was in a different place when you were on the other show, I think watching you guys now is kind of like, are they okay? Like,
yes,
everything, like, it seems like, are you guys at a different place, or is it just that we didn't really see a lot of the actual marriage dynamic before?
No, our dynamic, what it is when we were filming this show, was just completely different from what you have seen on the other show. And the thing is, we just weren't going through anything while we were filming during those times. And it's funny because when he first said that we were going to do this, I was like, well, when are we going to be filming? I said, because usually Chris and I always argue around January. So I'm hoping that we can film before then. I already knew, because every year, that is like, everybody has their season where you just go through these growing pains. And for Chris and I, January up until springtime is usually our season. So I already knew it, but I wasn't going to hold back and be fake. So I'm like, we filmed in the spring, in the summer, and the fall with Real Housewives of Potomac. So y'all never got to see any of how we get through and get to that place where we can be lovey-dovey.
Right.
So I was open to just showing that, because number one, I can't fake it. You know, if he's irritating me and I'm irritating him, you're going to see it, And number two, it was important for me to let people just know that we're not perfect all the time. We're not perfect anytime. We have arguments, The thing that I wish people could have seen more of is the context behind our arguments. Because if you only show the most heated moment while we're already deep into the argument, you're going to be looking like, what in the world is going on?
Yeah.
And think about Chris. So I'll bring to him whatever is going on. And what he'll do is he'll be quiet. He'll just kind of sit there. Or he'll say, all right, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. All right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And that's his way of like, shut the F up. You know what I'm saying? That's how he does. Whereas if Chris comes to me, there is no argument usually, because I'll sit back and say, okay, he'll be like, well, you did this and I didn't appreciate it. And I'll be like, okay, all right, I'll definitely be more mindful, and then it's done.
Yeah.
It's that pullback, that pushback that we get when I'm trying to address my husband, who is a great man, but he ain't perfect. So at the end of the day, I'm like, our biggest issue was that I felt unheard. I felt like whenever I brought things to him that were important to me, that I needed from him, he just looked at it like it wasn't a big deal. He would brush me off to the side. So when you see me very aggravated because I'm fed up with getting pushed to the side.
Yeah.
I keep making changes for you, but then when I'm asking you to curb some of the things you're doing, which causes a burden onto me, you're looking like, okay, I'm gonna work on it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know?
So that would explain, because it seemed like you could tell you were really irritated,
Oh,
aggravated, and it felt like the audience is not seeing that response from him on camera. So it's like, is she just nagging at him? Is she picking?
yes.
What did you learn about you guys' dynamic watching it back after kind of being able to step back and watch it? Did you learn anything about your approach, or even how to deal with him differently? Or did he look at that and see that, his actions, or maybe his being so passive or dismissive, had caused that reaction from you finally?
Yes. So both. I definitely went to a place in my delivery that I hadn't been in years. Like I
Mhm.
was always very like snappy, and I worked that out of myself throughout our marriage because my husband doesn't like that. He's like, just talk to me respectful, that's all.
Yeah.
But during these moments, it's been a loop of just, I'm going to work on it. I'm sorry. I'm going to
Mhm.
work on it. I'm sorry. So when you get to a certain point where you're just like, all right, you just saying that.
Yeah.
So don't play me like I'm a fool, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
And one thing that he has realized is that, okay, yeah, I do say that a lot. I do, kind of back out of it and just be like, all right, I'm sorry. I don't want to deal
Mhm.
with it. So he's learning that he needs to actually show more action. I'm not about the talk. You got
Mhm.
to show me. We've been
Yeah.
talking for years. So yes, we definitely learned a lot. And it's a work in progress because you have years of being who you are, and you're
Mhm.
trying to weed those things out of your personality so that it benefits your spouse. So that's
Mhm.
where we are. And unfortunately, we're at a position where Chris is the one that has to do most of the work.
That's where we are now, right? That's where we are now. But I want to ask you, because we met you all years ago. Some of the viewers, I'm sure you have new fans and new viewers now that you're at OWN. But we didn't get a chance to see you guys fall in love, and you go through all the. I'm sure it's got to be very stressful being a NFL wife. We had the opportunity to talk with Jackie Christie from Basketball Wives, and we were just talking about just some of the pressures of being a wife of a pro athlete. That has got to be a lot. So I just want to kind of ask you, because we didn't get a chance to see you in that stage of your life. Tell me about you guys' love story and some of the challenges that you guys were able to overcome to get to this point where you are 10 years in, and you do
Yeah.
have, a family that's kind of probably settled down from some of that was going on early on when he was playing, and I'm sure it had to be a lot more stressful in certain ways back then.
Yes. So when we first met, we met because of music. I was rapping and he was thinking about starting a music label.
Mm-hmm.
So one of his business partners was a client at the law firm that I worked at. And he said, you got to meet Chris Samuels. He plays for the Redskins. He's thinking about starting a music label. So I'm like, okay, cool. First time I meet him for business, he's like, you got a man? And I'm like, yeah. Like, all right, let me hit you with these bars though. So we stayed in touch over the years. And it was years later that we just started hanging out as friends. And then that turned into us really feeling each other and falling in love. We dated for 6 years before we got married. So
Wow.
I was with him pretty much half of his career while he played football. And
Mm-hmm.
it's funny because even now I understand the position that Chris is in because of how we started out. So
Okay.
when Chris and I started dating, I also started working for him not too long after.
Mm-hmm.
And I was basically his business manager, keeping
Mm-hmm.
everything together, being the bad guy when I had to be the bad guy, setting up press and all of that type of stuff. So I was pretty much running everything for him, keeping him organized, handling everything, like from everything, everything that he needed done. Chris just was able to live like a king, and I was handling everything for him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you move into a marriage, that has to shift.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be the bad guy for you and cover you.
Right.
Work for you anymore. We're married now.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been the tug of war of our marriage, is basically me saying, okay, I need more from you. And and him looking like, well, shoot, we've been doing this all this
Good this way, right?
time. So
I'm
yes.
comfortable over here, right?
Yes, but I mean, we've been through so much, and I've always been Chris's ride or die. Like any
Mhm.
and everything that has gone on in his life, whether it was dealing with his career or dealing with his family or anything else, he's had a lot of situations happen, and I've been there just cheerleading him on the whole way. Like, all right, what we got to do? I'm all about resolution and just like seeing some action done. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, it was a beautiful relationship, and we were friends first. Like I could tell him anything, he could tell me anything.
Mhm.
Once we got married, that friendship usually for most people they'll say, "Oh, we started out as friends and it just continued to blossom." Honestly, I felt like Chris was more open with me when we were dating than
Yeah.
once we got married. It was almost like now I got to be the man of the house and I can't be vulnerable with my wife because I got to be the one to hold it down.
Right.
So that was another thing that you're seeing happen in our exchange is because I'm like, dude, like you're not opening up to me.
Mhm.
I'll ask
Mhm.
you a question and you'll give me a basic surface answer. To the point where like my husband rarely calls me a pet name. You know, it's like I'm like, hello, we've been married for 10 years. Like, I'm not a stranger. So it began to get frustrating. And I think I just kind of like hit the ceiling when we got back from our trip to the motherland. And I'm basically like, like, did you have any moments where you felt like, aha, anything? It's just like, yeah, it was cool. And I'm just like, then he's like, so when's your mom coming to town? I'm like, you know what? I can't with this. I can't
Yeah.
with the surface talk. Like I want depth,
Yeah.
So it's what marriage is, and everybody's marriage is different. You go through
Yeah.
different things.
It definitely takes changes. Let me just ask you this, pivot a little bit. You being a woman that, as an artist, there's the attention is always on the artist, right? So it's all about you. What was the transition like for you moving from that to being a wife of, an NFL player? So that means the attention is on him, and a lot of women get lost and kind of lose their own identity in that. You don't seem to have that. You seem very outspoken and not to have that issue, but that had to be a transition for you, because you did, especially taking on all his, becoming his business manager and doing that. What was that transition like? Was that easy for you to be able to do that? And how did you manage to hold on to Monique in the midst of that?
One thing my sister taught me very young, when I first said that I wanted to be in music and I wanted to be an artist, she gave me several books because my
Mhm.
sister's in music management. And she gave me several books and she said, listen, you can't just be the artist, you have to be the manager too. You have
Mm,
to be the business person and the creative. She said, you have to learn both sides. And I applied that same principle even with life,
mm,
even with dating my husband. I was never that chick running around talking about, yeah, my boyfriend played for the NFL. Nope. He is who he is, and that's what he does for his profession.
mhm,
And I was with Chris. I never allowed myself to get caught up into his life on in that magnitude. And
mhm,
I'm a Libra to the core. I'm all about balance. So I'm
mhm,
like, you do your thing, I do my thing, and we do our thing together. Even when I started working for him, I'm like, nope, you ain't paying my bills. I get my salary, I handle mine. When
mhm,
we walk down
mhm,
the aisle, I told him, I said, I don't want to walk down the aisle with any debt. I'm going to make sure that whatever loans I have, everything's paid off. When we walked down that aisle, March 3rd, 2012, I was completely debt free because I never wanted him to look at me and say, well, I helped you do this and I bailed you out of that and I used my money to do this for you. Nope, you ain't going to get that with me. I've always been independent and very aware of who I am. And
mhm,
even the times where if I got so busy with everything Chris Samuels related, I still never lost sight of who I was as a person. I would
mhm,
sit back and say, all right, pause. I need to start doing some other things that I enjoy for me that's going to bring me to the level of success that I want for myself. And
mhm.
I always tried to maintain that balance. At times it was challenging, but as far as who I am as a person, I've never lost touch of that, like ever.
Yeah, that's impressive because I'm a
Thanks.
Libra too, so I relate to that balance. But I would assume in that world, it could become there's so many women. Number one, their goal is to marry someone that's able to provide for them. So hearing someone say I was exactly the opposite, I wanted to, maintain my independence. That's probably something that set you apart. I'm assuming
Yes.
from the other women
It
because
did.
don't ever hear that.
Listen, when Chris asked me, when we were dating, he asked me, when do you see yourself getting married? I
Mm,
looked at him, I was like, anybody think about marriage? I think that was the hook, line, and sinker for him because he was like, oh, shoot, she ain't
yeah,
pressing me for a ring. Oh,
yeah.
she's perfect. But me, I just like, I never sought out any man for what he could provide me. I always wanted an equal partner.
Mhm,
So I
mhm.
never looked at Chris as a means to an end or a means to a better life, so to speak. I
Mm-hmm.
always like, you couldn't tell me nothing. Chris laughs at me because he's like, your confidence be through the roof. I told him, I said, honey, I will be a multimillionaire with or without you.
Yes, yes, I
He
love it.
was
I
just
love
he
it.
was just the access without the liability that God decided to bless me with.
Yeah,
But it didn't matter whether he had or didn't have. I always, I'm like, I'm going to be where I'm supposed to be because I truly believe that, and I believe in the power of manifestation, and I know I'm gonna be good regardless.
absolutely. I love that. That is a great reality check for all the ladies that are going to see this, because I believe that you can have it yourself. There's so many women that think they have to. A man is the means to an end. So kudos to Monique. That's why we
Thank you.
that's why we mess with you. Now,
Thank you.
also with motherhood, I know that, marriage and having a husband is one thing, but often becoming a mother, there's another identity issue because a lot of times women get so connected to being a mother that you again lose your identity, your goals, your personal, those personal things that make you proud of yourself become kind of
Yes.
overwhelmed in being a mother. So how have you managed to keep that balance even with being a mom of three?
Yeah. Oh man. Now that's always a struggle
Yeah.
because your kids, they're your babies. So it's like, how can you not, when they're younger, especially? Oh my God. And because I really never thought that I would like being a mom as much as I like being a mom. So I just fell so in love with them. And I just like everything about what I do is family. So everything is always aligned. Um, but you do have those moments where, like I said, set office hours. I would have to tell my kids, like, all right, mommy's going to be busy. And then at this time, this is what we do. They
Mhm.
already know Saturdays and Sundays are reserved for them.
Yeah.
It's rare that we have plans on the weekend that don't include our kids. Most
Mhm.
times we are making sure we spend the time with them in the evenings. The only thing about now that I'm doing radio in the mornings, I hate that I don't get to see them when they wake up. That
Mhm.
eats me up every day because I'm so used to seeing them wake up and then I'm the face that they see when they go to bed.
Mhm.
So when it comes to trying to maintain your identity after having children,
Yeah.
it is a constant determination. It's a
Mhm.
constant like, okay, I'm big on prioritizing and I'm big on making lists. So I
Mhm.
will make a list of what my goals are for the first quarter as it pertains to me as a person or even my business. And then I only focus on those things. I don't
Mhm.
try to put so much on my plate. I've been down that road before
Yeah.
where you look at all that you have to do almost for the whole year. And
Yeah.
then you get so overwhelmed. You feel like
Mhm.
you have to achieve and conquer everything. And next thing you know, you look up and you are completely on E and wiped out.
Absolutely.
So yes, I look at things as everything will happen when it's supposed to happen. And
Mhm.
then slowly but surely I'm checking things off my list and I'm not letting it overwhelm me because if it ain't gonna kill me, it's gonna make me stronger. I'm
Mhm.
like, look, the kids ain't gonna die if I don't make their pancakes this morning. know, daddy's gonna have to make the oatmeal and they
Mhm.
will have to be fine with it and they will adjust.
Yeah. That is great. That's great. Another great reality check for people because eating an elephant one bite at a time is key. It's like you can become very overwhelmed trying to do everything at once or feeling like you're responsible for everything. Being
Yeah.
a great wife, being a great mom, being a great career woman, it can become very overwhelming. How has Monique grown from the time we saw her on RHOP to now? And like what specific things can you share that you've been able to say, you know what, I can realize there's been growth here, or I realized I needed growth in that area. And, I was able to work on that during that break, that we didn't see you on television until
Yes.
where you guys are now.
Oh man, I think the biggest thing I learned was to set boundaries and actually stick to them.
Mm-hmm.
I am a people pleaser at heart.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn not to be such a people pleaser. I had to learn to say no. And I had to learn to, if I set a boundary, most times I will be uncomfortable for the other person's discomfort and not my own. And
Mm-hmm.
let me tell you, it took a lot for me to get to a point where it was like, forget your feelings. My feelings matter too. And
Mm-hmm.
my feelings are just as valuable and important as yours. So
Right.
if you're doing something that is causing me discomfort or heartache, why should I just accept it? So now I have boundaries and I will let you know when you've crossed them. The
Mm-hmm.
second thing is I am no longer carrying the burdens of other people's mess. I will not do it. If you come at me with something crazy, I'm not going to hold on to your mess to
Mm-hmm.
please you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. And it's so funny because a good example of that was this past episode when I had to tell Ashley about the nicknames. I done sat
Yeah.
down with Winter and told Winter those nicknames are going to be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
You should come clean on that. She
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to do it. So I was like, I had to think back and I was like, all right, this is real messy. I don't like having to do all that back and forth. But then when
Mm-hmm.
I really thought about it, I was like, why am I going to carry the burden of something she said?
Yeah.
So now when we play back the episode and the ladies see it, whether it's months later or right then and there, they're gonna be looking at me, mad at me because of something that she did that I didn't go back and make them aware of as
Yeah.
I'm trying to get them to pursue a friendship.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
said, no, no, ma'am, not gonna do it. So here it is. If you call me messy, I don't even care
Yeah.
because I'm not going. If you're talking crap to a person that I'm trying to get you to have a great friendship with, I should not have to be the one to carry that burden. I'm not the one that said it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
That
those,
was because it made you look a little bit like a bone carrier, but I understand that. Is there a way to let people know? And I guess I mean it makes for great television. It's a great
right. That's
episode.
the other thing.
It also works with the nickname Moni in the middle because
Yep.
it all works out. But do you think in real life and in real friendships, there's a way to maybe say, you know what, if you're saying this, I don't bring that to me because if you bring it to me, I'm not going to keep that secret. I'm not going to keep that quiet because that's not in alignment with how I feel and how I move. Or do you think it has
Look,
to come out some kind of way?
I am big on like if you know something, say speak on it, So and also what people don't realize is that, like I said before, I never knew that side of her. I
Yeah.
don't know her to be that way. And I didn't bring her around for drama and mess. I
Mm-hmm.
remember years ago, I had a family member that was talking big mess about me,
Mm-hmm.
like just for no reason, just talking trash. So I'm at another family member's house, and my aunt, God rest her soul, she passed a few years ago. My aunt came over to me and she's like, "Oh, so what are you about to do?" And I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Oh, I'm about to meet up with this family member and we're going to go out to dinner." And she said, "Oh, well, just so you know, she was talking crap about you. So just so you're not caught off guard and you know everything that's been said, she
Mm-hmm.
was saying some things about you that wasn't very nice. So it's interesting to me that you're about to go meet up with her for dinner."
Mm-hmm.
Listen, had my aunt not told me that, I would have been looking like the biggest fool in the room
Mm-hmm.
because everybody that was there, she
Yeah.
had spread this story to, and I had no idea. So
Mm-hmm.
because she gave me that heads up, once I went to dinner, I was able to address it. And then we were able to do what? Move on.
Absolutely. Well,
So yeah.
that's what you have afforded the lady. I mean, we'll see if we're able to move on smoothly, or there may be a little bit of rocky transition with that. But that makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. Before I let you go, I do want to know, where did your inspiration come for your essential oils? Let's talk about that. We see that we didn't get that before, the earthiness and the fact that you really are connected to things that are natural and wholesome and organic for your family and even just for our environment. What was the inspiration for that? And tell people how they can find more about your products.
Yes. So even when I was on Real Housewives of Potomac, people would always see essential oils laying on my counter, or they would see them at the bedtime, or I'd be applying them to my kids. Season 3, we actually went to France for our cash trip, and I
Mm-hmm.
was able to tour an essential oils facility and watch them do the whole process of making an essential oil. So that led to people asking me, "Hey, what essential oils do you use?" And I would tell them, and then they would say, "All right, I want to buy your essential oils because I
Mm-hmm.
know that when you have some, they're going to be top quality." And I
Mm-hmm.
would tell them like, "Oh, well, I don't have my own. All right,
Mm-hmm.
well, let me know when you have yours." So it was a constant push. It kept coming up. So I said, you know what? During the quarantine, I said, well, I got some time. Let me research this and see what I can do. I
Mm-hmm.
was able to find an amazing source that is able to source all of the essential oils in my line from the native environment where they grow.
Wow.
There's no fillers, there's no chemicals. They're actually hospital grade. So
Mm-hmm.
those hospitals that actually use essential oils for aromatherapy for their patients, my
Mm-hmm.
essential oils are that same quality, if
Nice.
better. So I'm really grateful for this whole journey. And honestly, my followers are the ones that push me into this business. They wouldn't leave it alone. So I said, all right, well, it aligns with what I love. And I use them every single day. My children know them by scent, even
Mm-hmm.
my 3-year-old. The other day, I was rubbing cedarwood on his forehead before he went to sleep. And he said, that smells good. Is that cedarwood? My 3-year-old Chase. He knows all the scents. He tests them out. They love to sniff them. They love to use them. If they have an upset tummy, mommy, where's the tummy? Where's the stomach relief? They know where they are and how to apply them. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just beautiful because it just shows you that our bodies are healing machines.
Yeah,
We just need to give it a little assistance, you know?
absolutely.
So yes, so that's how we started Meal Eve Essentials, and every day has been a blessing. When I tell you, I launched December 15th, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I've not had a day without a sale since.
There you
It
go.
has been nothing but a godsend. So it was a part of my destiny.
Mhm. Can people find those on your website? Can we give the website to people so they can go and look at if they're not already aware?
Yes, MilaEveEssentials.com, or you can type in shop Mila Eve. Mila is Mila, shop MilaEve.com, and it'll take you to the same place. We have starter kits. I have all kinds of tutorials. You'll see everything on the website. I have recipes and background information for each oil. And if
Mm.
you type in the search box any condition such as, acne or sleep or breathing or asthma, whatever you type in the search box, the oils that are good for that, along with how to use them, will populate. So we got it covered. I want to
Oh,
make sure that people know how to use them, not just buy the products and they sit there.
that's awesome, because that's what I'm going to ask. Like, if you don't know anything, you could be kind of thrown off. But that's great that you have the tutorial there. I have two more questions. My first one is, when Carlos initially approached you about the opportunity, had you watched Love and Marriage Huntsville, and were you a little concerned? We know that there's a lot. I feel like you and Melody have a lot of similarities. You have like a daughter with the same name, right? Your daughter.
Right? Isn't that crazy? And
So
when I met her, oh my gosh, she's amazing. But
what
yeah,
did you think about the show about Love and Marriage Huntsville?
yes, I was watching Huntsville. And what I liked about it, although it was a lot of like serious stuff happening, what I appreciated was that it was organic. It
Yeah.
was it happened in such a genuine way. And what I loved, one thing that stood out to me was when Martell admitted that he had, been unfaithful.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the couples in the group didn't use that as a session to gossip. They didn't use it as a session to break anybody or tear anybody down. It
Mm-hmm.
was like more so like, whoa, all right, how are we gonna deal with this? Like
Mm-hmm.
it was a real reaction that people in real life would have if
Yeah.
they knew that. So to me, it was way more relatable drama, relatable TV. And
Mm-hmm.
that was the one thing that I enjoyed, and that's why I wasn't afraid to move in this direction with Love and Marriage DC, because I knew that it wouldn't be something that would be contrived. The
Yeah.
drama happens genuinely.
It does. It does. I actually have one more question before my final question, because one of the things I was a little shocked about was to hear the couples talking about their intimacy. I was like, "Whoo, that is pretty deep," because a lot of times men especially are not super comfortable with their wives talking about their sex lives, unless they're, especially if it's not in a complimentary way. So did that conversation kind of throw you off? And even the ladies came with Nightcap with Carlos King and talked about it even more. So
Yeah,
were you a little thrown off to see the intimacy conversations go so deep and so candid on the show?
not at all we talk about is sex. It's the one thing that we can all relate to.
Here we
So
go.
it's so funny because that was the one thing we never shied away from, was any sex talk. Because when you've been married for so long, you
Yeah.
want to know, is there something out there that we haven't done? Like, give me a little tip so we
Yeah.
can keep going and popping and keep this relationship spicy. It's
Yeah.
a reality that most people don't want to admit. You
Yeah.
have droughts in your marriage.
There you go. There you
So
go.
a lot of people, so what happens is, if we don't discuss it, you'll have somebody that's been married 8, 9, 10 years that thinks something is wrong with them and they're the only ones going through it. But
Mhm.
no, we all go through it. One thing about marriage is, when you're dating, it's
Mhm.
very physical.
Yeah.
Once you get married, it goes beyond physical. So,
Mhm.
and it happens on both sides. You do have men that like to have a lot of sex, but let's be real. Most times when you're married, that is not the first thing that's on your head every day. You have responsibilities.
Mhm.
You are more focused on the fact that you are living life with somebody that has your back 100%. And
Absolutely.
the sex is the added benefit to the marriage,
Absolutely.
But we
Yeah.
have our moments where time goes by.
Especially with kids too. It's like when you have little kid, like that is not at the forefront. And I agree. A lot of times women are thinking maybe there's something wrong with me if I don't feel like being a porn star every night. But
Right.
that's just not real. That's not realistic.
Listen, and then you wonder why some people have open marriages, because the wives probably be like, "Look, I ain't got time for that today. Just gone."
I
But
love it.
he better not hear that part and think he gonna get away with anything though.
Yeah, no. I'm like, yeah, my husband will be like, no, don't delete that part. But the feeling, I get it, but don't get yoked up now.
Right. Don't think that was anything other than a joke.
So my last question. So the BET Awards was this past weekend, and we see a lot of performers. And actually, there's been like a surgence of female rappers. You have Lotto, you have of course Cardi B, you got the City Girls, you got Meg Thee Stallion. Who is your favorite female MC? And is there any chance that we can get a little taste of Monique, in an upcoming episode doing what she's done so well?
Oh my gosh. First of all, don't get me wrong, the artists these days are very talented.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite MC female will always be Lauryn Hill.
I love it.
Will always be Lauryn Hill. Like, I have not experienced a talent greater than hers, with the amount of knowledge that she drops, with the fact that her album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, came out 20 years ago, and it still goes hard. If you listen to my stories that I posted, I was cooking the other day, and you hear it playing in the background. It's real. I absolutely love her, and I love that she was able to use music in a positive way and have a positive impact on females. I'm not for all of the booty shaking and the butt clapping and all of that stuff. I think that it takes away from who we are as women. I feel like we can be proud of our bodies, but I don't think we have to show everything to everybody all the time. So
I wonder if we're trying so hard to be empowered, but when you use your sexuality, that's really not empowerment to me. It's like it's like a double-edged sword. I'm happy that we are in charge of our sexuality and we're proud of our bodies, but we got to have something else we bring to the table besides just that.
Right.
So I get it. Yes, that album should be like album of the century. It was amazing.
Yes, I love it. And I love one thing, like the beauty of a woman is the fact that we could wake up and be sexy. We can be fully clothed and still be sexy. It's about how we carry ourselves, not necessarily what we have on. I could wear a very short skirt, but I'm still going to look classy because it's the way I carry myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, the mindset needs to change. And I try to instill so much into my daughter right now, because I don't want her to look at what is happening in our society and think that's what is meant for her. Absolutely. So look, there's a lot of us out here that don't agree with all of that, booty shaking and butt popping, and it's fun and cool when you at a party. I'm with my husband all day long, but I'm not about to be on stage just showing all of my goods to everybody.
No, I'm with you. And again, that's why we love you so much, because you definitely are one of the people that we see on television that keeps it real and is not afraid to be an honest, just be honest about how you feel. And we commend you for that. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today, Monique. Let people know where they can watch Love and Marriage DC, because I cannot wait to see. I am waiting for this reunion. Carlos said he's coming. I cannot wait.
I'm going to tell you like this. I love a buildup, right? And I see the comments. I see people having things to say, especially as it pertains to me.
Yeah.
But you get to this reunion, as long as they edit it right. When you get to this reunion, I put it all out there. Like, I set so many things straight, and you'll have a better understanding about the scenes that you were able to witness throughout the season. So reunion is going to be lit. But you can watch Love and Marriage DC every Saturday on OWN at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And anything Monique Samuels, go to MoniqueSamuels.com. You'll find everything about me there. Businesses, social media, everything's there.
All of that. Well, thank you so much again for hanging out with us. We'll definitely be tuned in, and we look forward to connecting with you again soon. Thank you so much, Monique.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us on this Friday night. Make sure that you tune in tomorrow for Love and Marriage DC, tomorrow and Saturday on OWN. This season, it's funny because I was concerned about Love and Marriage DC, like, oh, is it going to be as good as Love and Marriage Huntsville? But these marriages, these couples, they are bringing it. So you guys definitely tune in. Gotta love Monique. She is definitely a class act. I will be back, of course, on Monday at 8 o'clock for more reality checks. So I will see you guys then. Have a blessed weekend, and we'll see you Monday.